Hello, 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 hello. Hello. Nobody's here. Hello, nobody. Hello, myself. Okay, this one's last day's chat. Ignore that for now. Mm, 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 mm. Just one more and then I'm gone. Just the story to return. This was a song by the way. Slow dive. Let me check if my stream's working or not. Working, alright. Alright, working, alright. Alright, working, alright. Alright, working, alright. Just perfect. Let me just. Let me just. I like myself bigger in the picture. You know what I mean? I'm the main character. Stop. Oh, that was so real. It's YouTube. Working right. Let me just lock in and explain what we're going to do today. Today is the same as every day. Understanding Israel-Iran conflict. Now that it has ended, it is high time you should know. But today we will focus on the current situation. You know, what countries supported, what countries didn't. Who countries had the guts to... Oh my god, I'm watching myself too much. This is my YouTube video, by the way. YouTube channel, by the way. What was it? Yeah. Which countries supported, which countries had guts to support, and which countries were like dummies. Okay, some 2 viewers here. And what countries were not brave enough to have an opinion on this. Pakistan did good job. Pakistan. And Spain was very opinionative during this war. My computer has stopped working. It is lagging. You're right, man. I think it's not. Let's wait for this thing to work. Crap. Piece of junk. But lovely. Yeah. Amazing. Love these friends. Alright. How does APAC money influence US politics? APAC. No, this is not the video we're gonna watch today. Today we're going to watch why Spain is against Israel so much. Israel's Zionism and stuff. We're gonna do that. First let's I don't think today is gonna work. I'm already tired. Working again, okay, we're back. The computer's back. The live stream was on all the time. All this time. Yeah, why Spain is opposing Israel and US over Gaza and Iran? Is the question today. I really appreciate the honesty and opinionative behavior of Spain. I like countries with nations with opinion, strong opinion. Because who else is gonna have opinions? The elites. The elites has all the rights to have opinionative and can you hear me though? You hear me, right? Okay. Imagine. Okay. Everything's perfect. I don't think there's any problem. Yeah. Ignore the boys chirping. It's beautiful to hear, but we'll still ignore. Okay. So just earlier this morning, I wrote an article by Manoj Pant. He's a professor, visiting professor at Shiv Nadar University in India. He wrote that China is the real winner of this war. Economics and China are the real winners. The world doesn't work on like power and stuff now. Economics is the real power now, is what he wanted to say. And China played it well. Pakistan was just a proxy for China's motive. They wanted the war to be stopped. China wanted the war to be stopped. Pakistan was just a proxy to act as a middleman because US and China cannot engage so closely, work together on the same thing. That's why they had to use proxy, and China is the real winner of the war. They played it well. They didn't have to shoot any missile to win this war. They didn't even have to participate, but they played it. That's why China is China. Okay, now let's begin then. I think I should get the camera working better. This one's better?
This one's better.
Yeah. It's comfortable. Good lighting. And I like too much relaxed in this, but that's okay. There's no problem in that. Let's start now. The video.
This is an effigy of Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu being torched in a Spanish village. Angered by the effigy incident and Spain's continued opposition to Israel's military campaigns, Netanyahu had something to say.
ספרד הכפישה את גיבורינו, את חיילי צה"ל, חיילי הצבא המוסרי ביותר בעולם.
In the 2.5 years since October 7, 2023, Spain has become one of the most vocal critics of Israel's ongoing genocidal war on Palestine's Gaza. And Spain hasn't minced words on the US-Israeli war on Iran either. Within 24 hours of the initial unprovoked airstrikes on Iran, February 28, 2026, coordinated between the US and Israel, Spain's Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez gave a televised
Pedro Sanchez. Look at his drip, man.
airstrikes on Iran, February
Wow. Whoever is Taylor is he's a genius.
2026,
But means great at his work.
coordinated
Out of context, but please, surely there's no one's watching. But I want to talk about
between
it.
the US and Israel, Spain's Prime Minister Pedro
Oh, so there's no like La Paz. What do we call that? There's no that thing on the right side of his chest. Is this image AI or what, man?
Sanchez gave a
Good-looking guy.
televised national address calling the attack unjustifiable, dangerous, and outside international law.
Como sucedió en 2003 y ha sucedido ahora en 2026. Hoy entonces, hoy y siempre, España dirá no a la guerra.
On March 2nd, Sanchez
This is my kind of guy. Am I too loud? I think I'm too loud. Is this all right? Yeah, it has to be.
declared that Spain would bar US forces from using its Rota and Moron military bases for any offensive operations linked to the war, bases the Pentagon has been using since 1953. The Spanish Prime Minister called the strikes a violation of international law. And on March 30th, Spain closed its airspace to US planes involved in the strikes on Iran.
Maybe you should throw him out of NATO, frankly.
The confrontation drew attention across Europe. And on March 30th, Spain closed its airspace to US planes involved in the strikes on Iran.
Maybe you should throw him out of NATO, frankly.
The confrontation drew attention across Europe because Spain is not a small peripheral country. On the contrary, it is an EU and NATO member and home to two of the alliance's most strategically significant military installation. Closed its airspace. The Pentagon. Sanchez declared that Spain would bar US forces from using its roster, called the strikes a violation of international law.
Yeah.
And on March
And they were. Yeah, they were, man. US played the war on its own rule, which is not alright. I don't defend it.
30th, Spain closed its airspace to US planes involved in the strikes on Iran.
Maybe you should throw him out of NATO, frankly.
The confrontation drew attention across Europe because Spain is not a small peripheral country. On the contrary, it is an EU and NATO member and home to two of the alliance's most strategically significant military installations. Sanchez's move was not the first time Spain has taken this kind of anti-war stance. To understand the Spanish government's decision, we need to look back at the country's history.
Prince of an illegal war. Okay, wait a minute, guys. Let me check if the thumbnail has changed. Yeah, it has. Thank you. Thank God. Because the previous thumbnail was so ass. Nobody will come here.
On March 11, 2004, 10 bombs detonated across 4 commuter trains in the Spanish capital Otacha, El Pozo, and Santa Eugenia. 193 people were killed. Nearly 2,000 were wounded. The attacks came 3 days before a general election. Then Prime Minister José María Aznar initially blamed the Basque separatist group ETA, Basque Homeland and Liberty, for the bombings. Within hours, investigators identified al-Qaeda-linked individuals as the perpetrators. The attacks were later linked in part to individuals who had been radicalized due to the US-led invasion of Iraq. Aznar had committed Spanish troops to that illegal invasion in 2003, despite polls showing that around 90% of the public was opposed to the war. And despite a protest in Madrid that had drawn an estimated 3 million people, one of the largest in the country's history. 3 days after the bombings, Aznar's party lost the election. The incoming Prime Minister, José Luis Rodríguez Zapatero, withdrew Spanish troops from Iraq within weeks of taking office.
That backfired, that blew up in their faces right away, because it was very clear within 24 hours that it had not been ETA, but it had been some group related to Al-Qaeda. 2 days after the attack, I think it was 2 days, there were elections that the Aznar was poised to win, and he lost because the electorate did not accept such an obvious attempt at being hoodwinked about the attacks. And you could also say that the defeat of Aznar in the immediate aftermath of those 2004 attacks, in a way, was electoral payback for his decision to buck public opinion in 2003 and join the attack on Iraq.
India could have never. It's the opposite here in India. You know, let's just not comment on that.
Y porque somos un país soberano que no quiere participar en guerras ilegales.
We are a sovereign country that does not wish to take part in illegal wars.
Spain's relationship with the US military dates back to the mid-20th century. General Francisco Franco's regime, which had cooperated with Nazi Germany and Fascist Italy, faced international isolation following the end of World War II. And in 1946, months after the war had culminated, the United Nations voted to recommend that member states withdraw their ambassadors from Madrid. In 1953, Franco negotiated a way through that isolation. Under the Pact of Madrid, Spain agreed to host 4 U.S. military bases in Zaragoza, Morón de la Frontera, Rota, and Torrejón de Ardoz. In return, Washington would provide Spain with economic aid, military equipment, and diplomatic rehabilitation. The agreement kept Franco's government afloat during a period when most of Europe had shut its doors to Spain. For the U.S., Madrid offered strategic positioning on the edge of the Mediterranean and the Atlantic during the Cold War. The bases built in 1953 are still there. Rota on Spain's southern Atlantic coast remains one of NATO's most significant naval installations. And the same base Sanchez barred from being used for offensive purposes in March 2026.
Okay guys, let me check. Why is nobody coming though? There's still something wrong. Just chatting, tags are good. Selecting list, label contact political sensitive, we are done. Oh, I'm plus. Better.
Franco's isolation also
Spain and the Arab world.
barred from being used for offensive purposes in March 2026. Franco's isolation also pushed Spain toward a different set of relationships. Spain's historical connection to the Arab and Muslim world spans many centuries. From 711 to 1492, much of the Iberian Peninsula was under Muslim rulers. From the Umayyad Caliphate to the Almoravids, then the Almohads, and finally Nasrid Kingdom of Granada. That's 8 centuries of Muslim rule. The architecture of Sevilla and Cordoba still stands as a reminder of that period.
Really?
From the Umayyad Caliphate to the Almoravids, then the Almohads, and finally Nasrid Kingdom.
Because probably Spain, no. Italy or no, Italy it is. The highest number of UNESCO sites are in Italy, so I was wrong. I thought it was
Of
Spain.
Granada. That's 8 centuries of Muslim rule. The architecture of Sevilla and Cordoba still stands as a reminder of that period. Thousands of Spanish words have Arabic roots. The names of many Spanish rivers, including the Guadalquivir and the Guadiana, derive directly from Arabic. In 1969, Spain formally recognized the Palestine Liberation Organization. It was among the first Western countries to do so. Diplomatic support and trade with Arab countries helped Spain re-enter international trade networks after years of exclusion.
So that's a mix of pragmatism, opportunism, and some genuine retelling of their own national history. Spain was not a colonial power in the Middle East. It had an easier time. It was, of course, a colonial power in North Africa, in Morocco in particular. It has proven advantageous for Spain, politically and economically, to maintain good relationships with the Arab world and to distinguish itself within the West for the smoothness with which it has been able to deal with the Middle East, and you could say the elegance with which it has managed to not get caught up in the Israeli-Arab conflict, right? To by presenting itself as the mediator, as the peace broker.
Spain's anti-war stance also stems from another conflict, one that remains deeply traumatic in Spanish public life. From 1936 to 1939, a civil war in Spain killed up to 500,000 people. Franco's nationalist forces, backed by Nazi Germany's Condor Legion and Mussolini's Air Force, defeated the elected Republican government. Thousands more were executed, imprisoned, or disappeared in the years that followed. Mass graves were dug across the country. When Franco died in 1975, Spain transitioned into a democracy. It was built on a political agreement to set aside the crimes of the Franco period. Archives were sealed and no prosecutions were made. Historians refer to this as the Pacto del Olvido, the Pact of Forgetting. Decades later, however, families are still identifying remains of relatives in unmarked graves. Archives were sealed, and Mussolini's Air Force defeated his country. When Franco died in 1975, Spain transitioned into a democracy. It was built on a political agreement to set aside the crimes of the Franco period. Archives were sealed and no prosecutions were made. Historians refer to this as the Pacto del Olvido, the Pact of Forgetting. Decades later, however, families are still identifying remains of relatives in unmarked graves across the country.
This experience of urban bombing, of massive civilian casualties, the memory of that is quite present. It's not a coincidence that Picasso's Guernica still stands as kind of an iconic image of the anti-war movement. And then the memory of emigration, of
Who was the painter?
massive civilian casualties, the memory of that is quite present. It's not a coincidence that Picasso's Guernica still stands as kind of an iconic image of the anti-war movement. And then the memory of emigration, the memory of urban bombing, the memory of what it means to be a refugee is quite present still. In the 90s already, Spain shaped itself as a pioneer in international law. So the indictment in 1998 of Augusto Pinochet when he was visiting London by a Spanish magistrate judge. And then in the years following, the role that Spanish courts played invoking universal jurisdiction in the indictments of political leaders all around the world for crimes against humanity or suspected crimes against humanity really put Spain on the front lines of international law and turned that role into a point of pride for Spaniards as well. Ironically, because, like you said, at the same time, Spain never really was able to deal judicially with the crimes committed by the Franco regime.
Fast forward to 2018, Pedro Sanchez came to power, and Spain's foreign policy began to move in a recognizable direction. Under his leadership, Spain deepened its ties with Latin American countries and positioned itself as a partner to global South countries.
Give me a minute, guys. Look at this view. I'm back. Guess who's back? Guess who's back? Guess who's back? No.
Rather than restricting its diplomacy to the traditional Western alliance framework. Sanchez's positioning on Israel's genocidal war on Palestine's Gaza was one of the main features that brought him and his country into the spotlight. As the Prime Minister and his...
Oh shit, I didn't want that. You know, having an ideology before the elections and having the same ideology after the elections are... If he hadn't used this ideology to come in power, there would have been more respect for me. I'm talking about myself, by the way. This is all me. This is my idea of praising someone. I don't know what I did.
His government adopted an anti-war and pro-Palestine stance, while most Western powers were repeating Israel's right to self-defense and condemning pro-Palestinian voices. In May 2024, Spain formally recognized Palestinian statehood, joining Ireland and Norway. Sanchez also used the
Who's
word
this?
genocide to describe Israel.
I'm sorry. Hello. Hello, Razor. How are you doing? I'm great. How are you doing? Which country are you from? That's what I asked.
Israel's military
I'm from India, by the way.
campaign in Palestine's Gaza.
Saudi Arabia, okay. Yeah. So it's like it must be 10 a.m. in Saudi Arabia, I'm assuming.
A España en el lado correcto de la historia. Lo que está pasando en Gaza es un genocidio. Repito.
I'm getting used to it. The 10 in the morning, yeah. AM. Do you use that? AM and PM. You guys say 10 in the morning and 22 in the evening. We use AM and PM probably.
Repita conmigo.
You know, I'm getting used to this time zone thing. Which country usually gives me audience in this morning routine, or should I do it in the evening, Indian time zone, so I get people like you? That's why I asked, what time are you in?
Señoría, es un genocidio.
How are things in Saudi Arabia? Is the energy crisis over? I don't think you guys were facing any energy crisis, but there must be some economical problem. Razor is your name. Ray1 Azur.
It was an early use of the term by a European head of state, with many Western leaders still refusing to acknowledge it as such, despite the conclusions of most human rights organizations and genocide experts. Spain also called on the EU to review its trade deal with Israel. In June 2024, Spain also joined South Africa's genocide case at the International Court of Justice against
Razor, is everything alright? I always wake up in the morning to finish studies and working in the evening. Call me Ray. Okay, great. Okay, so how long are you up for this stream? And how are things in Saudi Arabia? Are you guys facing any problem due to the war and stuff?
Israel.
Not really. Yeah, almost true for me. I live in a metropolitan city of India, so I don't think I faced any significant problem during this war. But there's definitely some rumors and hype about the war that there's going to be energy crisis. You know, shortage of gases that we use to cook food.
Leaders use the word genocide to describe Israel's military campaign in Palestine's Gaza.
Ha situado a España en el lado correcto de la historia. Lo que está pasando en Gaza es un genocidio. Repita conmigo, señoría, es un genocidio.
Thanks for the follow, by the way. You are my 8th follower, genuine. And I'm just new to this thing. Follow is a great deal. One follower is a great.
It was an early use of the term by a European head of state, with many Western leaders still refusing to acknowledge it as such, despite the conclusions of most human rights organizations and genocide experts.
We have the same production, only the sales level is affected now, and it has happened several times before. So we have, I got it. We have experience with it. You have your own energy production, I know. So that's why I asked if there's any economic problem with Saudi Arabia. How old are you, Ray? May I ask?
Fast forward to 2018, Pedro Sanchez came to power, and Spain's foreign policy began to move in a recognizable direction. Under his leadership, Spain deepened its ties with Latin American countries and positioned itself as a partner to global South countries, rather than restricting its diplomacy to the traditional Western alliance framework. Sanchez's positioning on Israel's genocidal war on Palestine's Gaza was one of the main features that brought him and his country into the spotlight, as the Prime Minister and his government adopted an anti-war and pro-Palestine stance, while most Western powers were repeating Israel.
Right. Did you hear what I asked? Stop ignoring me. I'm sorry, I'm joking. I'm just checking if you heard me all right or not. It's okay if you don't want to tell. How old are you?
right to self-defense and condemning pro-Palestinian voices. In May 2024, Spain formally recognized Palestinian statehood, joining Ireland and Norway. Sanchez also used the word genocide to describe Israel's military campaign in Palestine's Gaza.
Ha situado a España en el lado correcto de la historia. Lo que está pasando en Gaza es un genocidio. Repita conmigo, señoría, es un genocidio.
It was an early use of the term by a European head of state, with many Western leaders still refusing to acknowledge it as such, despite the conclusions of most human rights organizations and genocide experts. Spain also called on the EU to review its trade deal with Israel. In June 2020,
But the harm does not lie in those matters. The harm is in the region as a whole, because we enter into a meaningless, religious region as a whole, because we enter into a meaningless conflict over a country that does not even belong to this region. I truly hope we can move away from our foolish disputes and unite as Muslims. And these people will not dare to touch our region. I see your stance, I see your opinion, I get it. And that's very great opinion. The meaningless conflicts. No. Any meaningless conflict is just foolishness. I get what you're saying. They're very less opinionative people. People devote themselves to power. So that's why I was talking about Spain. Spain has an opinionative, strong opinion around this conflict, and they are not scared to trash Israel and US over this meaningless conflict. That's why I was understanding why Spain is doing that way.
2024, Spain also joined South Africa's genocide case at the International.
Even India, the stance of India around this conflict is not that great. I don't like that. What our country is doing, diplomatically, what our country is doing. They're not right. They're almost neutral. We are almost neutral, but the official stance of the government is what I'm opposing.
Court of Justice against Israel. And in July, the country's national court opened a war crimes probe into Netanyahu over the illegal raiding of the Madlin aid ship sailing to Gaza in June 2025. This was followed by Spain's decision.
We have the same enemy, the same religion, same everything, but we only differ on wealth and borders. This is foolish, man. We want unity as Muslims. They fear our unity more than they feared the weapons we possess. Yeah. I see the dynamics. You guys, even Saudi Arabia and Iran has the Sunni, Shia, Muslim dynamics. And yeah, that breaks the unity. You guys need to stand together.
At the June 2025 NATO summit to reject the alliance's proposed 5% of GDP defense spending target. A stance Sanchez framed in terms of prioritizing development aid and multilateral institutions over the procurement of weapons. Then, in September 2025, the Spanish parliament approved a full arms embargo on Tel Aviv, banning weapons, military technology, and dual-use equipment from being purchased from or sold to Israel. Washington made its displeasure over the arms embargo very clear. Israeli officials summoned Spain's ambassadors. Several EU partners raised.
Ray, you have a great way of articulation. How old are you, Ray? That gives a lot of context. That's why I ask it. It's okay if you don't want to tell again.
His concerns about the pace and direction of Spain's position on Israel and Gaza, but Spain didn't budge. On March 11, just weeks after the US and Israel launched their coordinated war on Iran, the Spanish government formally withdrew its ambassador to Israel, in what is seen by analysts as the culmination of a 2-year escalation between Madrid and Tel Aviv.
I could tomorrow stop, or today, even better, stop everything having to do with Spain. All business having to do with Spain. I have the right to stop it.
Sabbath.
Embargoes, do anything I want with it. And we may do that with Spain. What do you think?
Meanwhile, Trump's threat of a trade embargo on Madrid was legally difficult to deliver, since Spain does not have an autonomous trade policy with the US, but is rather part of a wider trade agreement with Washington via its membership in the European Union.
Pedro Sanchez probably is...
Got it. And this difference did not come because we hate each other or because we are enemies. This difference comes because people who do not belong to the region at all, for example, those who sow discord are Israel, but we spread it without feeling our silly disagreements. Sure. The difference people okay.
is he has incentives to continue this path because it's very difficult for US to punish Spain. From the economic point of view, trade point of view, with tariffs is very difficult because Spain is part of the European Union.
Sanchez has the backing of his people against the actions of US President Trump. Even before the war, YouGov polling from December 2025 showed 77% of Spaniards viewed Trump unfavorably. A poll conducted by the Center for Sociological Research in early March 2026 showed 69% of Spaniards opposed the war on Iran. On those measures, Sanchez's position aligns closely with public opinion.
For every self-respecting Spaniard balks at the idea that a country like the United States would infringe on its sovereignty. Sanchez is a very smart politician. He's tactically brilliant. So what he did very quickly within Spain, first in the wake of the Gaza genocide, and more recently in the wake of the attack on Iran, was to maneuver in
I think you will understand that as an Indian, you have a problem with Pakistan. I mean, your country. See, even the Indian-Pakistan conflict is very much fueled. The main aspect is the fuel is the hatred they produce. The foreigners produce. It's fueled by the hatred produced by the differences of being Hindu or Muslim. You know, the main reason is that the subconscious reason behind our hatred is partition of Hindu-Muslim countries. But your point is right that it is fueled by foreigners. It is not our own problem. It is a fictional problem that we created for meaningless conflict. It pulls so many years behind these conflicts every year. If we get into a conflict, even a small one, it pulls us so many years back. It harms our economy so much. And our people do not understand. They form... Yeah. That's the problem. Who do you think are the enemies? Who do you think are the main problem of this all? In reality, you do not hate each other. The truth is that these conflicts between you are being spread by intervention of other countries. Yeah, absolutely. There's a fact that we hate each other. We hate each other, that's a fact. But why do we hate each other? It's spread. The hatred is spread by the other countries. You know, Israel, you can search. You can search what? Okay. No, not in general, what do you think? What ideology is the problem? Israel, I see I'm getting your point. Israel is a problem to your state and people of your community. But what do you think? What ideology is the problem that Israel has, main root cause? Let's handle this philosophically.
In such a way that he basically played his pieces, leaving the right in checkmate. He maneuvered them into a corner very smartly, sort of leaving the.
In the last stream we searched about how Israel was created, and I knew already, but we researched it, and it almost linked all of this linked to US or British or the colonial power, imperialism. Half of the problem created in the 20th and the 21st century are imperial problems, imperialist problems. They were the founders of all these problems. Problem is not in the existence of this agreement. The problem is that we fight each other instead of focusing on a true enemy. Yeah.
The leaders of the PP and of the far-right Vox party as...
What do you think about Spain's point? Spain said his prime minister, but they're very opinionative around it. Do you agree with them? Most of the Europe is like following Trump's orders, hukumat. What do you think? And Spain is the only one resisting it. It has an opinion that most of the countries fail to have at this moment. What do you think about them? Pedro Sanchez.
Basically traitors to their own country because they were aligned with a president who not only had illegally attacked Iran together with Israel, but was also threatening to illegally attack Spain.
There is many that see now within Europe that are happy or that are commenting positively on the fact that somebody speaks out against the bully.
Do you like the way your country is associated with US? So much dependent on the US? I wouldn't say dependent, but it is very much associated at an extent that it is problematic. You know what I mean? And the US has links with Israel. So, what do you think about that dynamic, Ray?
That Spain shows integrity for its foreign policy stances and doesn't back away.
Spain is not a pacifist country. It is a NATO member. It has troops on international missions. It has signed the same collective security commitments as its allies. What sets Spain apart from most other Western powers is embedded in its history, a history that has culminated in its anti-war stance, a civil war that killed hundreds of thousands of its own people, a democratic transition built on silence surrounding those crimes, a terrorist attack in 2004 that killed 193 commuters, linked in part to a war the public had opposed from the start.
Unfortunately, I don't think Spain or Europe will make any difference. International law has issued an arrest warrant against Netanyahu, but no one is enforcing the law. This is the truth, but unfortunately, it is the reason of our separation. It is not his fault that my country is bad or the other person country is bad. No, but even I see that the Spain and Europe will make no difference. But then who will? Then who will? They even voices matters, man. The truth exists without medium. Truth doesn't need to be spoken with. Medium is not the effective part of the truth. Spain is talking about truth in its own way. You understand what I'm saying, right? Truth has to be spoken. It doesn't matter who is speaking truth. Is it a significant system, nation that is speaking truth? It doesn't matter. Anyone who speaks truth does greatness. Is closer to God. Wow. And Spain is taking a stance, which I like. So we cannot discredit. Like Europe won't make a difference. It will make a difference. Europe will make a difference. I disagree with you on that. Europe taking stance against America and Israel will make a difference, definitely, sure. It will create a chain.
And a 1953 agreement that placed U.S. military bases on its soil in exchange for legitimacy given to a dictatorship. Whether Madrid's position on the Iran war holds, and what it means for how European governments navigate the gap between.
To solve the problem, we must first acknowledge our issue. If we deny that we have made a mistake, we cannot correct it and address the problem. The reason for the division is that we categorize a person by their nationality and rather than their religion. If we do not belong to the same faith, which makes us divided. So you think separation with the categorizing their identity with religion is a good thing? Do you agree this or not? You think? Tell me a small answer. Yes or no types. Categorizing a person by its identity, an identity linked to its religion. Is it all right? Is this stance all right?
Between alliance obligations and independent judgments,
Tell me yes or no.
as well as national interests, is a question that extends beyond Spain.
I do think that Spain is poised to play a pioneering role in that development, because it's not only about autonomy or independence or not being beholden to one of the great powers. It's also about representing a more ethical, a more rules-based position, right? It's about the continued or the reaffirmation of the principles of international law, especially national sovereignty. And so I can see that happening. I think also because Spain has been working its intermediary role for decades.
Europe, specifically the European Union, has adopted this idea. In the Union, your nationality doesn't matter. As a European, you have the right to work in all EU countries and will be treated like a citizen of these countries. Now, I was talking about religion. He said to solve the problem, we first acknowledge our issue. If we deny that we have made a mistake and we cannot correct it and address the problem, the reason for the division is that we categorize a person by their nationality rather than their religion. So you think categorizing a person by their religion is all right? Same faith. If we do not belong to the same faith, which makes us divided. So I was asking that, is categorizing a person according to its religion all right? Categorizing a person with nationality, what extent of categorization is okay? Whether it should be the nation, religion, continent, geography, earth, species, living beings, non-living beings. What part of categorizing? At what part will you stop?
Decades now, not just vis-a-vis the Middle East, as we talked about, but also vis-a-vis Latin America, because the other kind of hinge position that Spain sort of convincingly adopted after its transition to democracy was to be the intermediary between Europe and Latin America. And that's something that just like the Middle East, the left and the right in Spain agree on and embrace. So I think for those reasons, Spain could be a leader.
No, it's not about classifying as a religion specifically, but I mean the principle of unity under one banner. Yeah, absolutely. Agreed. Where we don't differentiate between a Muslim from Saudi Arabia or Muslim in Palestine, this is what I mean. This is actually the reason for our strength. Unity under one banner is what you support, proliferate.
In a new kind of non-aligned movement of middle countries.
Right, I got his stance. Great. What are you studying, Mr. Ray? Like, are you in school, college, or like are you working professional, if I may ask?
Pacifist.
Let's just ask college and working at the same time. Oh, what are you studying in college? Business administration. Okay, got it. Okay. Spain's current anti-war stance is not based on pacifism, but rather historical consistency with trauma of civil war, Madrid train bombing, Pact of Madrid. Ultimately, the video suggests that Spain's position is okay. Got it. One more video I had. And what do you aspire to become, Ray? Tell me if you have any video that I can watch. You can suggest me some videos to understand it all better. Any of your favorite content, please. What was this? India's stance. India's most pro-Israel leader. Yeah. That is why I was talking about in the beginning. I don't like India's stance. India's leaders. He's not leader. He's chosen by us. He has some great qualities, but I personally disagree with his stance. The problem is that this principle weakens day by day, not because we are enemies, as you said, but because all Muslims share the same faith and the same religion, often similar cultures. Yeah. Yet we still have complex accepting to unite for higher purpose. Yeah. You're great at articulating. I totally agree with you. There's no point to be debunked and discussed.
On the morning of October 7, 2023, Benjamin
What is this? This video? Yeah. So the Narendra Modi is Prime Minister of India. So there are some conspiracies around him that why does he support Israel so much? And US too. India has, since the independence of India, India has always not so close with US and the Western, not Western one. The US is primarily not so friendly with India. But after Narendra Modi's, regime in this leader's regime, India is very close to US. It keeps on, like, US keeps disrespecting our India. Mostly Trump, not US. US is almost neutral to us, but Mr. Trump loses. Who is that? Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for the double voice. Whatever. Where was I? So Narendra Modi keeps licking US's boots. He doesn't stand against US and Israel, even if they do something horrible. Like all this while they are doing so much horrible stuff. We couldn't say a thing because, you know, all the sanctions, they put sanctions against us in the previous years and this year's too. But we keep staying quiet. Our government keeps staying quiet. Because simply put, India wants to surpass Pakistan and will do anything for that. And I don't understand why you have any conflict like that when you could eliminate the problem, which is Israel if you united. There's no battle of surpassing each other in Pakistan. Pakistan is, I think it as a fact, but that Pakistan is, we don't have a competition. Oh my God. Are you catching that? Is my mic catching the background voice? No, it is not. So, okay, perfect. So there's no competition of surpassing each other, India and Pakistan. Pakistan maintains its own diplomatic relationship with other countries. We maintain our own. India is in far better situation than Pakistan. Pakistan is struggling economically, socially. You know, the government is not all right. We have a democratic government since almost since the independence. Sometimes there's very less time moments where we oh my God. There are very less moments. There's so many disturbances. I'm sorry for the ADHD brain. You know, there's no competition. We conflict due to borders, you know, that it was created by Britishers. The vaguely created borders that were created by difficulties. And also the terrorism part enforced by Pakistan. Terrorism, you know, not control having on its own powers. The functioning government of Pakistan is not healthy. It is dominated by army. They are not democratic. So that is why they have no control over their own powers. So the terrorists keep leaking out of their countries. You know, they fund the terrorists. The people who are in power in Pakistan, they fund terrorists. That is the main part of conflict. And Kashmir, the border region, what I mentioned about. That is the problem. There's no competition in India and Pakistan. India is in far better situation. I'm not saying as because I'm Indian. It is a established fact. You know, Pakistan would agree with this. And not a functioning healthy government is a reason of Pakistan's downfall. Okay. What about Israel's, and talking about Israel being the enemy of our state, I don't think there's any problem with Israel and India. Israel doesn't do any harm to us, but even if it doesn't, we should stand against the wrong and the right. So in order to achieve that, stand against the wrong and right, we need to understand who is wrong and right. And even if it is clear that Israel is wrong, we need to have a strong opinion that even if it's clear that Iran is wrong or maybe this part of the world is wrong, then we should stand against that. You know, we have to have a clear decision. We should not change our opinion with power dynamics. Power should not control the truth. Yeah, that is what I want to say. I'm not saying it's exactly like that, but I believe you have that cooperation with Israel. Yeah, we have. That is what this girl will talk about in this video. Why does India is the most pro-Israel leader? I think she will infiltrate with the conspiracy that we have around Mr. Modi and Israel and US. You know, I know I have some hints about the conspiracy. Let's watch this video and that would be very engaging. You understand the Indian dynamics with Israel. Israel is not trustworthy, believe me, as an Arab. I know that they always make promises and agreements, and simply put, they will betray any agreement they make.
Relationship between Modi and Netanyahu can be summed up in one phone call. The relationship between Modi and Netanyahu can be summed up in one phone call. On the morning of October 7, 2023, Benjamin Netanyahu's first call of solidarity.
She's a Middle Eastern girl. I don't know. Let's just check. There's no mention of that, but the channel says Middle East Eye. I'm assuming this girl is from your country or maybe probably Saudi Arabia or somewhere of your
Came not from Washington or London, but from New Delhi. Prime Minister Narendra Modi was the first to reach him. That call, later described by Israeli agricultural.
What? Let us search about it. What country? Yeah, I got the sound because there's a background noise, so much background noise. I need to close the door so it will be. Let me just close the door first. I'm back. Where were we? Middle East. Explain. British Eurocentric perspective. The term Middle East. No. That's channel, YouTube channel. Whatever, man. I don't think it's so famous too. Let us ask this AI. What country is the host originates? Sorry for my English grammar, but it is what it is. What country is the host originates? That's a funny English. I think it's like being born in America, raised in Britain. No, I think the AI, the Gemini, got it all wrong. She thought I'm talking about the word Middle East. Middle East is an independent online news organization, London, United Kingdom. So you were right. You guessed it right, yeah.
Minister Avi Dichter, as a mark of true friendship, set the tone. Modi wasted no time releasing a statement condemning the Hamas attacks as terrorism and declaring that India stands in solidarity with Israel at this difficult time. So 20 days later, India actually abstained on a UN resolution calling for humanitarian.
And that's what this. Okay, there's latency issue with our stream. Let me fix that real quick. I'm sorry for the trouble, Mr. Ray. But let me fix the latency issue first. Oh, it's okay. Got it. So she's a UK-based creator, and where were we? We were talking about Modi. There's some sympathy with Modi because of the terrorism because of the terrorism aspect that Israel faces. That's why there's some sympathy with Israel, because they portray themselves as a victim of terrorism. Yeah, got it. Yeah, I can see.
Truce in Gaza. The abstention, coupled with Modi's immediate and unconditional support, marked a decisive break from India's anti-colonial roots, a country that once presented itself as Prime Minister Narendra Modi wasted no time releasing a statement condemning the Hamas attacks as terrorism and declaring that India stands in solidarity with Israel at this difficult time. So 20 days later, India actually abstained on a UN resolution calling for a humanitarian truce in Gaza. The abstention, coupled with Modi's immediate and unconditional support, marked a decisive break from India's anti-colonial roots, a country that once presented itself as pro-Palestine and later was cautiously neutral, was now declaring unwavering support for Israel. The rise of Hindu nationalism at home.
In the start, even in the 1990s, we were very much pro-Palestine. We standed against, we connected the Palestine thing with Indian thing, that the Kashmir is captured, half of the Kashmir is captured by Pakistan. We connected that, so there's, unofficial occupation of Pakistan in Kashmir, equivalently as unofficial occupation of Palestine by Israel. So we connected that and we put our stance as Palestine supporters, but later we were very neutral about it. But as soon as Modi's regime started, we were very much pro-Israel. Yeah.
Unflinching.
So I think she's gonna talk about that conspiracy again.
Solidarity with Israel abroad, and that same weaponization of the war on terror from Gaza to Kashmir. For Modi, this was more than protocol, it was theatre. A declaration that India and Israel were not just strategic partners, but bound by a shared worldview. In Netanyahu, Modi saw someone like himself.
Now about Israel, we also do the same thing. Yes, Israel has propagated the idea that it is a victim of Holocaust. Yes, they were subject to atrocities, but most of those who actually suffered from the genocide and survived will either be dead or in their old age. Therefore, that argument cannot be used. Also, if you want to discuss the truth of the matter, they will consider you anti-Semitic because they have no argument other than that. Yeah, you're partially true. I would agree to that. Not fully agree to that, but there's definitely anti-Semitic sentiments around the Western world, but Israel exploits that idea too much. I agree with you.
Populist leader heading an ethno-religious state whose military power he admired. Now that call on October 7 really captured Modi's decade in power. Let's take a look at India's most pro-Israel leader. By 2014, India was restless. A decade of Congress party rule had left the public disillusioned. The economy was slowing down, corruption scandals dominated headlines, and the ruling elite seemed out of touch with ordinary Indians. For a generation of young voters, development, military strength, and national pride became more compelling than older ideological debates like secularism. Enter Modi. He was the common man's hero, the son of a chaiwala who would come and reverse decades of disappointment, promising economic transformation and
Funny is that Europe supports Palestine while they are the ones who created that problem in Palestine. Instead of returning these Jews to their European homelands, they support two-state solutions. Yeah, that is what they do. That is why at the start only, I told you that all the problems originate from the imperialist era. That the imperialists, who were the imperialists? The Europeans. Spanish, Britishers, French, all these problems are originated by them. Dutch.
championing the BJP's slogan,
Dutch are the least problematic in all of them.
India First.
Portuguese.
Backed by the right-wing BJP, his campaign fused economic ambition with the politics of Hindutva. And this was the belief in restoring India as a culturally and demographically Hindu nation. So how did he rise to power? Born in 1950 in Gujarat to a poor lower caste family, Modi's humble beginnings became his political persona. It portrayed him as an outsider to India's elite and helped the BJP reach voters from poorer and lower caste backgrounds who had long shunned the party. As a child, he joined the RSS, the far-right paramilitary organization dedicated to building a Hindu nation. The RSS shaped his worldview and remains the backbone of Modi's politics. By 1987, Modi had joined the BJP, and by 2001, he became Gujarat's chief minister.
Aldous is absolutely alright. She's caught with the dynamics and she has done her homework very great.
First RSS missionary to reach such office. A year later, one of the most defining moments of his political career occurred. In 2002, 59 Hindu pilgrims were killed after a train was set alight in Gujarat. Muslims were blamed. What followed was one of India's worst pogroms. The following day, a coordinated attack by right-wing Hindu groups began on Muslim neighborhoods. Hundreds of Muslims were tortured, killed, burnt alive, and gang-raped, all while the police were accused of standing by. 2,000 people were killed. Most of them were Muslim.
All this happened in Gujarat, but did she mention that it was not all over India? It was in one place of Gujarat.
So during this time,
not even in whole Gujarat. Gujarat is the state of India.
Modi was accused of provoking violence and allegedly told police officials that the Muslim community...
I didn't hear her mentioning. It was only at a place of Gujarat. Whole India was united. We are very diverse in all of our regions of our country. But this incident, this riot was in Gujarat. It's a very important aspect. But not all India was fighting. It was not a civil war. We got to mention that. I'm sorry if I missed it, but I don't think she mentioned it. Ashkenazi Jews are unknown for their aggressive nature, and Europe fears them. That's why they made the Balfour Declaration, to get rid of them and offload their problems onto the Middle East. They will solve their own problem and drag our region into that conflict. To do that, Balfour Declaration.
needed to be taught a lesson.
Not only enough, but excellent work they have done.
Excellent work.
Excellent work they have done. Within 72 hours, we were able to control such a violence.
More than 500 people dead, most of them innocent civilians, and you're calling this excellent work?
I'm not happy what happened, but what we have done, I'm happy.
Now, it was this complicity that...
This time he played it well, but sometimes he gets insecure by the idea of pushing him into this conversation of the riot thing, but he gets usually uncomfortable and starts to, like, he loses his control of speaking. And not speaking, but he tries to avoid this conversation, but this time he played it well. He said, we tried to stop it, and I'm not happy with what happened, but I'm happy with how we control it. That's a bit of a way of articulating. This is the first time I saw him discussing this topic this formally.
Earned him the title Butcher of Gujarat and led him to being banned from the US for nearly a decade.
हम तो इतना बुरी हाल उसने किया, जिंदगी की मेहनत की कमी बर्बाद कर दी, लुटा दिया, बर्बाद कर दिया, जला दिया, खाने का एक घर में बर्तन तक नहीं वो हाल हमारा किया, और इतने हमारे लोग मर गए, और बच्चे जो औरत विधवा बन गई, जो बच्चे यतीम हो गए, तो वो लाके दोगे.
But instead of ruining Modi's political career, the riots propelled him as a populist leader and boosted his electoral chances.
We will pursue them to the ends of the earth. India's spirit will never be broken by terrorism. Terrorism will.
Terrorism is the mask. And terrorism is definitely a problem with India. It is a significant problem. It doesn't play like it. It doesn't make up all this terrorism problem stuff like that Israel does. I'm sorry if I'm wrong. I can change my opinion, but right now my opinion is that Israel exploits its terrorist enemies. You know, they do some nasty stuff, and if there's a terrorist organization, if there is an organization against them, terrorism is a problem with Israel. But with India, terrorism is a problem, real problem. Even Pakistan struggles with terrorism and still funds them because they don't have the power in control. Our government functions perfectly, so we have the power in control. That's why we don't start funding terrorists, but we have the external terrorist problem.
Not go unpunished.
Among supporters, he became a symbol of Hindu pride. That narrative helped secure his re-election and cemented his place as the BJP's rising star. As chief minister, Modi built his reputation on the so-called
Something wrong here, right? What part? Balfour Declaration stipulated establishment of a promised state for the Jews. There were several countries proposed, not including Palestine. Uganda, Argentina are among the suggested locations. But they chose Palestine. How can you discuss where to establish your promised state? It was already promised to you. Definitely, I mean, that's what I said, man. I agree on that situation. We gotta study about Balfour Declaration a lot more. That's why I'm not forming an opinion around it. You know, because I lack with the facts and information, the articles. But I do have a just view around that declaration. And it was a bad decision.
Gujarat model. Now, this was a vision.
It's not smart enough. They could have handled it better.
Of fast-paced economic growth and business-friendly governance in the western Gujarat state, making it open for business to the rest of the world. And whilst running for top job in 2014, Modi campaigned to take the Gujarat model nationwide, promising development, jobs, and an India-first policy. He rode the wave of rising Hindu nationalist sentiment right into a landslide victory for the BJP.
I remember all this stuff. This is back in 2014.
Party rule was over and a new political era had begun. Once in power, Modi's
Is that Netanyahu? What's up, Netanyahu?
Domestic vision of blending rule was over and a new political era.
They will blame us while they should be the last people to talk about that matter. They're the only ones who allowed it. Don't shift the problem onto us. Justify your actions. Yeah.
Had begun. Once in power, Modi's domestic vision of blending Hindu nationalism with economic development extended into foreign policy. And nowhere was this more evident than in his embrace of Israel. In September 2014, just months after his election, Modi met Benjamin Netanyahu on the sidelines of the UN General Assembly in New York. Now, it's important to note that at the time, Israel was under international scrutiny after Operation Protective Edge. This was an attack on Gaza that had killed 2,251 Palestinians. And yet this first meeting between an Indian Prime Minister and an Israeli leader in over a decade took place. This was a clear signal of a foreign policy break. For decades, India's diplomacy was shaped by Nehru's non-alignment movement, solidarity with Palestine, ties with the Arab world, and covert dealings with Israel. Even after formal ties were established in 1992, every Indian government maintained a balancing act. Defense cooperation with Israel, but public support for Palestine. And Modi shifted that balance. Modi admired Israel's military innovation, counter-terrorism strategy, and nationalism, a model of ethno-religious strength that Hindutva ideologues had long praised.
Prime Minister, I have a reputation of being impatient in getting results. If I may let out an open secret, I know that so are you.
And India was already one of Israel's biggest weapons customers, with billions of dollars worth of deals contracted discreetly during the previous Congress-led government. And under Modi, this arms trade deepened. In 2017, India publicly cleared a $2 billion missile project with Israel, the largest defense contract in the history of the partnership. By the time Modi visited Israel in July the same year, India was Israel's biggest arms market, worth about $1 billion per year. His trip to Israel, the first by an Indian Prime Minister, noticeably skipped Ramallah. Modi was no longer a cautious friend of both sides. The images of Modi hugging Netanyahu on the tarmac and walking barefoot along Haifa's beach signaled a new phase. India was no longer shy about standing shoulder to shoulder with Israel.
We also face common challenges, and the first of it is to defeat the forces of terror that rampage through the world and threaten both our...
Brother Ray, are you here? And I wanted to ask you, how did you find me? Was I on your homepage? Or did you search, did you go really down on the just chatting section? Or did you search anything? How did you find me? And on the homepage of Twitch? Or were you surfing a lot? That would give me an idea of politics. That's the keyword. What did you search exactly, if you may tell me? What did you search exactly? How did it show up?
Our countries. So we must stand together in this battle, much as we work together to perfect the future.
Modi's visit to Israel came as Hindu nationalism was surging at home, a movement that had long admired Israel's model of ethno-national strength.
Good. Thank you, Ray, for telling me.
This dates back to Hindutva's founder.
Hindu, sir. Oh, wow. God, thank you, Ray. Thank you for the follow too. Okay, well, thank you for the follow too.
And threaten both our...
Okay, by the way, Ray, this is my YouTube channel. If you want to subscribe to it, you can. I'm gonna just give you the link here. If you want to subscribe it, I stream the same thing and also upload some of the content from this stream. I will upload. I haven't uploaded yet. I uploaded some of them, but if you want to subscribe, you can. If you don't want to, it's okay. Like it's stopped.
Our countries. So we must stand together in this battle, much as we...
Look at Netanyahu. His appearance is truly disgusting. You can't stay in the same room with him without saying he's a repulsive person.
Work together to perfect the future.
Modi's visit to Israel came as Hindu nationalism was surging at home, a movement that had long admired Israel's model of ethno-national strength. This dates back to Hindutva's founder, Vinayaka Damodar Savarkar, who had hailed a Jewish state in Palestine as a necessary defense against Islamic aggression. Since Modi came into power in 2014, a surge of Hindu nationalism and disinformation campaigns had fueled anti-Muslim sentiment in India, making life for India's 200 million Muslims increasingly dangerous. Hindutva's ideology pushed through education.
She has some biasness, but yes, it's okay. Guys, it's not exactly like how she portrays it, but there's so much research, and she has done well. She's doing well.
Anti-Muslim sentiment in India.
If this is so much wrong, if there's even a hint of wrong, I will tell you.
Making life for India's 200 million Muslims increasingly dangerous.
Increasingly dangerous is the wrong word to
pushed
choose,
through
ma'am. Increasingly dangerous.
Educational institutions and campaigns run by the RSS targeted young people. This restricted religious freedoms, including cases of hijabs being banned in schools. Vigilante lynchings in the name of cow protection spread fear across the country. Farmers, butchers, and families traveling with beef, considered sacred in Hinduism, were pulled from buses or stopped in markets.
I really feel astonished at how this person can possess such a level of depravity. By a farmer just one time. Look at Trump. Look at people all his age, all of the people who are in power. Trump is older and dumber.
Beaten to death by mobs. Modi's government pushed the love jihad narrative. Now this was built on the conspiracy.
A little bit they tried their best to push this, but people of India are smart enough to disagree with them. They tried to do this, but they almost failed. All the time they failed to push these sentiments like these. The beef one, what else did this one? The hijab one. We protested against it. And then this one again too. The beef one succeeded a little, but the rest of them failed.
Theory that Muslim men seduce Hindu women to convert them, leading to the criminalization of interfaith couples, arrest of Muslim men, and in some cases, torture and death. Muslim places of worship also came under direct attack. In BJP-ruled states, authorities have used bulldozers to demolish mosques and Muslim homes, often in the places of worship also came under direct attack. In BJP-ruled states, authorities have used bulldozers to demolish mosques and Muslim homes, often in the name of illegal construction. In Uttar Pradesh and Madhya Pradesh, demolitions followed communal clashes with Muslims disproportionately targeted. This climate of...
Not exactly true. Almost on the borderline false. There's definitely some bulldozer actions happening in Uttar Pradesh and Madhya Pradesh. They are the states in India, but targeting Muslims, they didn't portray it as a thing against Muslims. Okay, so did it? Maybe they had a bad and malicious intent behind those bulldozers. But even Muslims' home of criminal people were destroyed. People who raped, people who were gangsters, and those people coincidentally were Muslims. I wouldn't say coincidentally. Those people who were caught during Mr. Yogi's regime. Yogi is another established Hinduwadi leader, and in his era, he's still in his era, but right now it has stopped. The bulldozer actions has stopped, but in the start, it was a very significant act, and he used to do that. Coincidentally, the people who were caught as the gangsters, as criminals, were Muslims, and if they linked identity with religion and did their stuff to push Hindu narrative a little more into the mainstream. And they bought the media too, so there's no transparency in action. So, I might be biased too.
Everyday violence and state-sanctioned discrimination culminated in...
There should be laws, but not punishing people because they want to love and don't want to wear the hijab. Islam does not say that a woman must wear the hijab against her will and should be beaten if she doesn't. It's not Islam. Islam commands that, but it didn't say to judge people. We should just lower our gaze and be respectful. So you want to say that it advises but not like enforces, is what you wanted to say. Wearing hijab and
in
stuff.
January 2024, when Modi inaugurated the Ram Temple in Ayodhya ahead of his re-election campaign. The temple was built on the ruins of the Babri Mosque, more than 30 years after Hindu nationalist
Yeah, that was one of also the major part.
mobs tore down
Rightly
16th
mentioned.
century mosque. The demolition in 1992 triggered riots which killed more than 2,000 people, mainly
They
Muslims.
did.
The inauguration was more than a religious ceremony. It was Modi's clearest stamp of muscular Hindu nationalism, a symbolic break from India's secular past. In 2019, Modi revoked Article
Yes, Islam commands that, but it didn't say to judge people. We should just lower our gaze and be respectful.
370,
Okay, it's the
which
old
gave
one.
semi-autonomy to India-administered Jammu and Kashmir. The decision merged its 8 million Muslim-majority inhabitants with India,
That
placed
was
the
one of the-
region under Constantinople.
You know, that the main thing she mentioned about Kashmir, it was one of the best decisions taken by the right-wing government of ours. This government, not right-wing government, it's the only government in India. Judgment does not come from humans. Judgment comes from God. We cannot describe her in a bad way. Come on, extension, just this is unrealistic. Oh my God! Wow, I'm impressed, Ray. Perfectly said. I'm gonna quote this a lot of time. Judgment does not come from human. Judgment comes from God. So we cannot describe her in any bad way or commit bad action and then justify them by saying she does not cover her body or wear hijab. This is unrealistic. Mr. Razor on Twitch said by.
370, which gave semi-autonomy to India-administered Jammu and Kashmir. The decision merged its 8 million Muslim-majority inhabitants with India, placed the region under military lockdown, cut communications and imposed curfews. The Indian government deployed tens of thousands of additional troops to Jammu and Kashmir, raising the total to around 750,000 and reinforcing its status as the world's most militarized region. The decision was hailed by Hindu nationalists, but was met with anger in Muslim-majority Kashmir.
Muslim majority Kashmiri people, the one who were not agreeing with the 370 rule, but it was definitely one of the best idea to integrate Kashmir more with India. We would definitely want Indians, as an Indian citizen, I would definitely want that all of our land is united. And the act that the amendment that he established this government denied that. It was disintegrating Kashmir a little bit. That why we didn't have a lot more power in this region, and that was the terrorism. Kashmir is the only part where terrorism is a big problem in India. Not only part, but major part where terrorism is a problem. We don't have much power in that area. It united Kashmir a lot more with India, and which is a good thing for India and Kashmir too. You know. Slowly there's definitely not significant results right now. You know, that's a thing to question. But the idea of the intent behind 370 dissolution was great. 370 dissolution, if you don't get it, it's just an amendment of that Act 370, Article 370 in Indian Constitution that deprived India full autonomy on to Kashmir. Now we have full autonomy, semi-autonomy, I would say. They hold their own elections and state. It became a union territory of India, fully integrated.
Were a decade-long call.
They felt like there could be riots and stuff. That's why it was most highly militarized zone at that time, which was necessary. And the internet connection, the lockdowns were necessary. They handled it very well. So there's also a question that media was not transparent at that time. But how would you know? But there was definitely independent media working, we can see the sentiments of people, the normal people, common people around us, Muslim people. They were not unitedly against this 370 resolution.
For self-determination had been met by repression and denial by the Indian state. Human
Go
rights
India, go back.
activists
See, they live in India and say that go back India. How is that possible? As an Indian, we should be united. You know, if Kashmir, all the people of Kashmir wants to be independent, we should definitely liberate them. But that is not beneficial for both of us. Not even for India, not even for Kashmir. Uniting Kashmir with India is the only way it should be. And also, do not take what you like from the religion. You leave or you don't. You do not decide Islam based on whims. Just as Islam commands modesty for women, it also commands lowering the gaze. Lowering the gaze. Wow. Just as it warns against bad deeds, it does not justify us doing something bad towards someone who does not bad deeds in their private life. Each person is responsible for themselves and their actions, and we will be held accountable for our own actions and not the actions of others.
have argued that India's actions in Kashmir amount to a form of settler colonialism straight from Israel's playbook. Parallels with Israel are difficult to miss. Like Israel's annexation of Palestinian land, India's move was framed as a legal act of sovereignty while enforced through military occupation. Kashmir became not just a territory under siege, but a testing ground for Israeli-style methods of control, mass surveillance, smart borders.
She said it is a testing ground of Israel's method of... absolutely disagreed. I was agreeing with the most of the part. I agreed with that, but this is what I would like to disagree. Wrong words chosen.
Biometric monitoring and demographic engineering. For this reason, India increasingly looked...
I may be biased because I like the idea of Kashmir integrating with India, and I really with the sentiment of Kashmir integrating with India, fully integrating with India, whole of the Kashmir. But that's why I might be biased, but that's why I disagree with her. Because it's absolutely right. It's both beneficial for both of us, India and the Kashmiri people too.
To Israel for the tools to achieve these goals. Crowd control weapons like non-lethal pellet guns that have caused blindness are used in Kashmir and mirror the kinds of technologies deployed by Israel in the West Bank and Gaza. Today, as Israel's genocide in Gaza has obliterated the enclave, and
we advise and offer things that might benefit the person if he did bad deeds, but we do not have the right to make them accept it or force them to listen.
Received worldwide condemnation, Modi's support for Israel has only further cemented. India's companies, including Adani Advanced Systems India, Premier Explosives, and the state-owned Munitions India, have been directly involved in supplying drones and ammunition to Israel as it carried out its genocidal war on Gaza. So in April 2024, the Modi government abstained from a UN resolution that called for a ceasefire and an arms embargo on Israel, a move widely read as an effort to protect these defense contracts. The cooperation extends into battlefield technology. In Gaza, Israeli forces have deployed an AI-powered weapon system co-developed with an Indian defense firm, capable of converting assault rifles and machine guns into automated killing devices. And Israel has given India special treatment in return, while holding back more than $1.5 billion in arms exports to other countries since October 7. It has ensured that deliveries to New Delhi have continued without disruption. Modi and Netanyahu saw themselves as nationalist leaders of ancient civilizations under siege, Israel surrounded by Arabs, and India marked by centuries of Muslim rule. The narrative of a global fight against Islamic fundamentalism became both shared rhetoric and a political weapon in both Palestine and Kashmir. A decade into Modi's rule, that ideology has reshaped India, erasing the line between religion and state that once defined its secular identity. In 2019, a year after Israel's nation-state law declared it the homeland of the Jewish people, Modi's government passed the Citizenship Amendment Act, which fast-tracks citizenship for non-Muslims only. For Modi, Israel wasn't just an ally, but a blueprint.
Hard. Boom. Yeah, for Modi it was blueprint, yeah. Now for India. But thank God she didn't push the conspiracy around Modi and US and Netanyahu. But she got the point very nicely. Nice video, great video. Some of them were biased, some of them were misinformed, not touched with gun, but I might be biased too. She was perfect. The video was perfect. It couldn't have been better than this. Advice, okay. Did I miss anything? Alright, yeah. There's 3 people watching. Who else is not commenting? Please talk to me, man. I am so long. Great video. I really wanna like it, but I cannot because the account system on YouTube is very bad. They consider this as. I will save this though for later quotations. I'll save it later. Okay, chat. Razor, is there anything you want to mention? Advice to watch me? You know, anything you wanna start a discussion topic? Did you subscribe to my YouTube channel though, by the way? Subscribe when you have time. Keep stuck in. This comedy is really anti-Arab propaganda. I'm sorry, I don't mean to offend, but I remembered fanatical Hindu Indians who wanted to fight for Israel and said they hate the Palestinians, but Israel didn't accept them because Israel wants Jewish soldiers. Really? There were some people. Nah, I'm not offended at all. Why would I be offended? I like this movie. Can you recommend anything, any source to it, so I can react? It is funny though. Ray, do you have any source, any video or stuff that I can react to around this topic? The fanatical Hindus who wanted to fight for Israel, which is absolutely bullshit. Let me search. I'm gonna watch this later. I like comedy. And I like Borat too. Borat. Was it just a news or a video or people? Can you explain more about it so I can search? Yes, that was happening in October 7th. Any video or any link? Any article? Anything I can refer to? Ray? Any video? Okay.
I mean, I could have another IDF with the volunteers. Everyone is telling me, I want to volunteer and I want to go and fight for Israel. It's very emotional also, the level of support that we got from the Prime Minister, who in the same day, in Saturday, when the full picture was not even there yet, among the first in the world, came out and tweeted a very clear condemnation and support to Israel. We will not forget that. That is very, very important. And then after speaking to Prime Minister Netanyahu, Prime Minister Modi ji had another very strong tweet. And that's the Prime Minister. I got here phone calls from ministers who said, Ambassador, you cannot quote me because it's off protocol, but as a private person, I want to tell you that we are with you. We feel very bad with what happened. High officials here, the biggest businessman here, wrote a very strong tweet. And that's the Prime Minister. I got here phone calls from ministers who said, Ambassador, you cannot quote me because it's off protocol, but as a private person, I want to tell you that we are with you. We feel very bad with what happened. High officials here, the biggest businessmen here, wrote to me, WhatsApps, called me, amazing, offering any kind of help. But this is only part of the picture. Regular Indians, look at our social media of the embassy. It's amazing. I mean, I could have another IDF with the volunteers. Everyone is telling me, I want to volunteer and I want to go and fight for Israel. I served in many...
That's kind of funny. There's no hate offense to Israeli, but
countries in the world.
Israeli minister, but volunteering to another country to fight for them is kind of funny. This is what propaganda does to people, you know. Blind faith their leaders does too.
Very friendly countries to Israel. Really, this wide support, strong support, is unprecedented for me. Really, I'm really moved and touched, and I also said it to people. It's unbelievable. India and Israel, the closeness is something that I cannot even explain. I don't know how to. I understand it. I cannot explain it. It's something very emotional, very deep, that it's beyond any normal connections between two peoples or countries. It's something very unique.
There's so many memes around this Israeli and Hindu bonds. So many memes, funny memes. This is what propaganda does, man. You know, blind faith, blind propaganda, you know, and too much propaganda does to uneducated, unaware people. It must be true. There has to be some people who have done this. They must have contacted them, but not the smart ones, even the average ones, the most dummiest people who have no idea what's going in this world. Yeah, those people. God. Okay, Razor. That's it. I think I'm gonna sign off. I'm doing this from 2 hours. We have 2 minutes until I go. So, anything? Jewish Iranians oppose Zionism and American. No voice. What happened to the voice? What happened? What happened? Oh, this has the voice. What was this? I don't mean the Indians. I don't think a rational person is the word I wanted to use. Rational person would want to represent a criminal state, but I believe a fanatic Hindus harbor hatred towards Muslim, people like them. People who are highly propagated with an unaware mind, and people who are prone to propaganda will fall on this, and must have said, and very anti-Islamophobic Hindus. I'm a Hindu, I'm not Islamophobic. Some of the people, unaware people, which is why they want to join any company. Representing any country against their own without any benefit or without any meaning is just a funny thing. Even if they were not criminal, and even if it's a funny thing. I'm not getting it. Okay, whatever. And supporting Israel in these matters is the dumbest thing you can do. Okay, whatever. I think I lost the sound of this Chrome thing. I'm gonna sign off now. And you said you work on in the evening and you scroll in the morning. You said that at the beginning. Now I think it's your time to work and my time to sleep. I think I was sleepy in the whole theme. If you want to subscribe to my YouTube channel, you can. Really appreciate it. And if you followed here, that's perfect. Bye, Razor. I will see you in the next stream. Fanatics do not have intelligence to think, which is why country like Israel is proud. Bye, Razor. Then is it okay if I leave, or will you leave first? You are my guest. I think I should be formal to you. Bye. Are you gonna subscribe to this? Let me link it one more time. Subscribe whenever you want, whenever you feel it's alright. But support would be highly appreciated. I really want that support. 4 subscribers too much. I'll tell everyone if I can get some. Thank you, bye. Thank you for staying on stream. Thank you for the follow. Bye. I'm gonna keep chatting until I'm there, so I need to leave as well.